when we think of New York, you know, we think of nonstop people and just people everywhere doing everything. And unfortunately, that's really not the case currently. It's a different town. It's an interesting town because I find that when there are fewer people, that people tend to be nicer, right? Because instead of seeing 1,000 customers today, maybe they saw 100. So I'm walking right now to one of my favorite places in New York. It's at like 45th Street. And during this pandemic, I decided that I needed to do something that was exercise, to get out of the house, something that I could feel really inspired about. And I am currently not sure if it's still recording. So I'm thinking that there must be some kind of like setting on the GoPro that's like, hey, you know, it can turn off every 2 seconds, or it can turn off like every 1 second, because right now it just keeps turning off. So I'm walking towards the Intrepid, and if any of you know a lot about this boat, feel free to tell me. One thing I can tell you about is the Intrepid has been used as a hospital. It's been used in wars, and it's currently 100% a museum, right? But I think during last year, they might have opened it as a hospital. I'm pretty sure they decided to make it, a hospital if there were too many patients for the hospitals in New York. Now, I hope everybody can see that there's a lot of snow. One thing, in Virginia, if there's like 2 inches, it's like, oh my God, what do we do? How are we gonna handle it? So much snow, shut down all the schools, oh my goodness. In New York, they're really, really prepared. And kind of a sad thing for me is that they know how to clean it up really fast. So that means that if you're doing photography, you want to get outside as fast as you can to make sure that you capture it before they actually get rid of it, because they really do get rid of it fast. It's kind of like on New Year's Eve in Times Square, all of that confetti and all of those millions of people, they cleaned it up like in, from like a half hour until a total cleanup of maybe an hour and a half, because they have it all set up and they've been doing it for so many years. So it's kind of cool, but it's also kind of sad, because for me, I would really rather there be all of this snow for quite a long time. Another funny thing about New York snow is it gets kind of dirty pretty quick. So if you want to see New York snow, then you better get out there fast. I'm walking towards the Intrepid, and as I mentioned, now it's currently a museum. I do think that there are open hours. You can check at the Intrepid Museum. And I'm walking across the street, and I'm going to the place where I spent 2.5 months during last year. I was kayaking, and the kayaking really provided a respite during a really difficult year. So I'll be taking you that way to actually see the place where I did the kayaking. And this is the Intrepid. So one thing that's pretty fascinating about New York is that there are many, many waterways. And before 2020, there were many waterways where you could do canoeing or kayaking or the soup. And they had places that were absolutely free, and then they had places where you could do a tour, and then they had places that cost per hour. So this area right here, this area right here is kind of like, it's not a swimming pool, but this is the area where you can pay $10 and you can go out for an hour. So you don't have to have any lessons, and they let you come out here for $10 for an hour. And it's really nice because you feel safe. There are people that are in the structure over there is their like home base, Manhattan Kayak. And when you're out in the water, there's plenty of people. So interestingly enough, even if you don't swim, you can use a life preserver, and you can go out in there even if you don't swim, because sometimes people growing up in New York City don't know how to swim, but they want to kayak. If you would like to go out into the Hudson River, you're able to do that after you take 4 lessons. So it's K1 through 4, and each lesson goes over the different strokes, the different paddling strokes. It goes over how to get into your boat. It goes over actually different boats that some you sit on top of, and you could just like jump right off into the water if you wanted to. And others, you have a skirt that keeps the water off of your legs. And then if you are getting some water by splashing it, by paddling, at least you know that you're not going to be wet if you're taking an hour trip or a 3-hour trip or a 2-hour trip. So currently you are right here in one of my very favorite spots of New York at the Intrepid. And I'm so glad that even though I couldn't live stream, I am able to see the beauty of the snow. And who's ever watching, Demetrius, if you're watching, we shot some great videos here on kickboxing. And you can see some of those videos on the Resource Girl YouTube channel that you're on. And we'll be putting more at FitGP, Fitness with Jim Pantos. Yes, I am promoting what we're doing. If some of you know me, I did a lot of promotion in my life. And it's about daggone time that I promote the things, that are important to me. I promoted a lot of beautiful brands, but I really think that I've got something to say to this world. And so it's time to do some self-promotion. So thank you for coming to the Resource Girl. And thank you, if you will, to go over to FitGP, Fitness with Jim Pantos, and you can click on the subscribe button. And speaking of self-promotion, if you've gotten this far, we currently are doing a push to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, because when we get 1,000 subscribers, we're actually permitted to do live stream. We're permitted to do live stream from the GoPro. Up until 1,000 subscribers, you're not permitted to do live stream. They have that stipulation. And also, Amazon affiliates, like in the comments below on this video, I'm going to be telling you about the GoPro camera. And when I tell you about the GoPro camera, there'll be an Amazon link, and you'll be able to purchase a GoPro for yourself if you choose to, but no pressure. But if you were ever to purchase anything from my comments, my Amazon affiliate comments, I then would get a small commission. I have 90 days to do this thing. In 90 days, if I don't sell enough and get like 1,000 subscribers or 500 subscribers or 4,000 hours of watch time, then they won't approve me for the Amazon affiliate program. So I'm asking everybody who knows me, I hope that you will join me in liking this YouTube video, subscribing to the channel. Oh, I'm so reminiscent here. Right here is Manhattan Kayak. It's so fantastic. And right here is where, literally right here with all this snow, is right here where I learned how to properly kayak. I did canoeing when I was younger at the Triple R Ranch, but right here is where I learned the love of kayaking. And I can tell you that the 4 lessons were phenomenal. And then after the 4 lessons, you also have some other things that you can do, like there's a sunset cruise where you see the sunset on the Hudson. And then there's also a longer trip, which is to New Jersey. We are facing New Jersey right now. Oh my goodness, look at all this snow. Oh my gosh. So anybody who's gotten this far and anybody who has really lifted my spirits this year, I'm not